Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a headscarf instead of hair. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to be grabbing the charcoal stick, the one that is rounded. This is the loose leaf, so it's going to be easier for us to kind of move around. Also, this example actually doesn't have any ears drawn on the side, right? This one does. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just tackle it here on the side that does have the ears, okay? So here we're going to go ahead. And typically when wearing headscarves, a lot of the times the ears are tucked away. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to draw a line. Now the headscarf is really, really close, or just like right on top of the skull. And so we're just going to go ahead and flatten that. Usually with hair we want to give it a little bit of volume, but we're not going to do the same thing here. Okay. And then we're going to just create a nice little rounded curved line. And then we're going to bring it down right here so that it meets the bottom of the ear. Okay, they're not going to connect, and instead we're going to go ahead and bring this down like that, and then we're going to go ahead and start creating the first layers of like the ripples of the fabric. Okay, so that's the first thing we're doing. The second thing we're going to do, you can either use your larger blending stump or the smaller one. I'm going to go ahead and use the larger one, and just right here, the edge, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start blending it in just like that. And I'm going to do that in a rounded. And I'm also going to do the same thing with this right here. So I'm going to actually show you guys. I'm going to get a little bit closer so that you guys can see. And so right here, we're just going to be blending those in. Blend. And we want to do this so that we start to cover kind of the ears. The ears can be a little bit, can confuse us when we're adding shadow and the different types of like fabric layers. I mean, it for sure confuses me, so. Okay, I'm going to go in. Okay, I'm just still going to go ahead, bring that one in. I'm going to bring this one out. Going to bring this one out. Okay, and then for this middle part, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to follow right here the same direction as those lines. So just like that. I'm also going to bring it in. Charcoal stick going in. Okay, and so now this is what we have. Okay, depending on the color of the scarf that you have, this might be lighter or darker. We're just going to go ahead and make it slightly darker. And so I'm going to go in with the charcoal stick rounded. And just the top portion, I'm going to go ahead and just round this out. Okay. Now right here there are going to be a little bit of creases of cloth. So I'm not going to bring it all the way down, at least not yet. Okay, so about there. Now I'm going to leave the bottom as it is. And then all I'm going to do is with this smaller one, blend this out. That way we don't have to deal with the ears at all. Okay, and then we're going to just bring this down here like that. And bring this down here. And then with the residue that we have on our paper, we're just going to go in those lines that we've already created. Okay. always make sure there's nothing under your paper so it doesn't do anything like that. Okay, we're just going to leave the residue here. Okay, and just like that. Now, with a sharpened charcoal pencil, we're going to go in and we're going to start adding. We're going to start adding the little like wrinkles. Okay, so over here. So we might have one here. Okay. It's going to be very, very thin, something like that. Then we might have one here. Okay, same thing. So here we want to go ahead. We're making a nice clean line, and because it is going to be a nice clean line, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to clean up some of that residue. Okay, and then over here. And I'm just making kind of like random lines. In here, I'm going to start adding some wrinkles. Right. You can even continue the line there. Lovely. I'm going to go ahead. Here. Okay. Then I'm just going to go ahead and continue the outline to the top. Now usually when we're dealing with hair and any type of other facial feature, we do not create any of these outlines. But because this is actually cloth, cloth does typically have a little bit of cleaner edges at times. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean those edges up too. Okay, and then we are going to have maybe one or two more little wrinkles up here. Typically when there are scarves, right, wrapped around the head, they can be tightened or they could be a little bit looser, so it just kind of depends. All right, so this is what it should look like for right now. Okay, we're going to start adding the shadows. Now the shadows, depending on where the light source is and how the scarf is laying, the shadows might be in different spots. In this example, we're going to create the shadows underneath the folds. So I'm going to go a little bit closer so that you guys can see this. Okay. So over here, this is where the line is. We're just going to go in, darken that line, and it's going to cast a little bit of a shadow. So it's going to go down over towards this one. This one's going to make a little bit of a darker line too. And then I'm kind of softening the edges over here. Okay, same thing is going to happen to this one. And it's going to be brought over here. Okay. Over here, same thing. So this time the shadow is going to be to the left. And then it extends outward because it is a cast shadow. This one's going to be to the left. It is a cast shadow, so I'm softening the edges here. So something like that. And then we're softening the edges there. And I am going to clean this up, slightly smear that myself. Okay, so already we're starting to see a little bit of that buildup. Now again, you can also do the top of this. We're going to get back to the top. We're going to tackle the bottom now here, okay? So let's start from the very bottom. So this one right here. We created kind of like a little line. We're going to thicken the line. and then the shadow's going to go downward. Okay, over here, thicken the line, then the shadow's going downward. This one's thicken the line, downward. And then I'm just adding a little bit of a mid-tone right here because we're going to be blending these out. Okay, downward. Okay. This one thicken the line, then downward. Then over here, thicken this line. Goes downward, thickens the line. And then I'm just giving a mid-tone to all of the other like spaces in between all of that. Okay, because we're going to blend this, it's going to make it look a lot more seamless and natural once we add those mid-tones kind of in those areas. For this one, we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to blend upward for this one. Okay, so just like that. Okay, this one just like this. Lovely. And then this one, we're going to go ahead, mid-tone. Okay. And then with the blending stick, the rounded one, I'm just going in. I'm just adding a little bit more here. Okay, now we're going to go in with the number 2 blending stump. And this time we're going to start blending out a lot of the areas. So first we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the top. Now it's okay if the top of the head is slightly lighter than the rest of the scarf because this is technically where the light is hitting for this example, okay? Then we're going to go in and all on the sides where we went ahead and we added that shadow, we're going to go, we're just going to blend it out. So right here, here it is, we're just blending it out, here it is, we're just blending it out. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing over here, so here it is. I'm actually going to flip it so that you guys can see it. Okay. Okay. There it is. And then it is kind of creating a little bit of like powder, so I go out and I kind of wipe it off. And I do tend to clean. Now you can clean it at the end, but it's kind of bothering me right now. So there it is. Okay. So now from afar, this is what it's kind of looking like. So we're kind of getting the folds in there. Okay. We're not done. We need to go ahead and we got to blend the ones at the bottom. Okay. And then with whatever residue you have on your blending stump, that's what you're going to use to like kind of blend out all the lighter areas. So the darker areas should be all of the creases of the okay. And then notice how like I'm also blending out these lines. That way it looks a little bit more seamless too. So not only are we blending out the shadow behind those lines, we're also going in and we're blending those lines out. I went ahead and I just made that slightly darker because it blended out a little too much for my liking. And then I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. Okay, and then I'm going in and I'm blending this out. And I'm blending it in the same direction that we applied it. I'm not going like this, not doing that. Okay, and then now with this guy here, you can go in and add any of your lighter areas. Now, I'm gonna make it real thin because I'm gonna bring it right to the edge, right here. Right to the edge. Right here. Technically, like right next to the lines, that's where I'm bringing it. That way from further away, and I'm just tapping it. That way from further away, we can kind of see the folds of the cloth a little bit more. You can also make the bottom of the scarf a little bit darker if you'd like. I probably would, but because there was writing, I made it a little bit lighter. And so then from here, kind of went like that. And I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to make this portion here a little bit darker. Usually because the head produces cast shadows, this should be a little bit darker. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to blend it downward. Oh. Then I'm going to go in and go like that. And then if you want to make it a little bit darker, you can. Maybe with this one. I would just use the side of it to kind of layer. Okay. And then you can definitely make the folds a little bit darker. And then not having to blend it out. It really just depends on the light source and a little bit of the preference that you have. So, just like that. Okay. Thanks for sticking around.